This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 2120, My Worst Money Mistakes by ESI of ESI Money.com. And I'm your host and personal finance enthusiast, Diana Merriam. Let's get to today's post as we optimize your life. My Worst Money Mistakes by ESI of ESI Money.com. Reading ESI Money, you might think I'm a financial genius who has always had everything money-related figured out. That's far from true. I do write mostly about the positive sides of what I've done because 1, much of it has been positive, and 2, I think people want to try and emulate what's worked well. That said, there are obviously learnings to be learned from failures, not to mention the fact that I need to eat some humble pie now and then. So today I'm sharing with you the list of my worst money mistakes. Waiting to save. Once I got out of grad school, I did what many new MBA students do. I went on a shopping spree. I bought a new car, new clothes, and lived the high life with my friends. I had no budget and absolutely no savings. I was making a fortune after all, or at least it was a fortune to me. Why did I need to save? If this was just a blip on the radar, it would have been fine, but it lasted for several years. Even after I was married, I didn't begin saving in earnest for a couple years. So all in all, I probably lost 5 good investing years, including my issues with the next mistake. That may not sound like much, but given that time is the best way to maximize your investment return, and that I lost 5 years of compounding, this delay probably cost me somewhere close to $1 million, certainly hundreds of thousands. You know my net worth. Imagine what it would be with 5 more years to grow. I'm getting sick just thinking of it. Trying to invest in individual stocks. Once I did begin investing, I knew that I was a much better stock picker than everyone else. Why I thought this exactly remains a mystery. It must have been because I had superior intelligence compared to the rest of the world. Oh, and I had more insight than trained money managers with millions of dollars and tons of staff at their disposal. Spurred on by books like Beating the Street, I just knew I could pick stocks better than most. I think you know where this is heading. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion. I didn't lose a fortune, thank goodness. But I certainly underperformed in my stock choices. And once that didn't work, my next move was to mutual funds with high fees. I eventually found my way to Vanguard and their low-cost index funds, but I certainly hindered my returns for many years. Not buying more real estate when it was cheap. I've said previously that I was too tight on my financial projections when I bought my properties. If I had loosened up a bit, and been willing to accept properties with a 9% return versus my 10% goal, I'd probably have twice as many properties as I do now, and they'd be earning at least 8% total at the worst. In addition, they would likely have appreciated big time. I'd be earning well over $100,000 a year and would have retired at least a few years earlier. Putting money in an uninsured bank. When I was in high school, we had 2 banks in town. One was insured by the federal government, and the other had so many assets that everyone knew it could never go bankrupt. I worked for $3.35 an hour and saved $3,000. I put it in the uninsured bank because that's where my family kept their money. Well, guess what happened? Yep, the state came in, closed down the bank, and everything was frozen. It looked like we were going to get nothing back. But then the state started selling the bank's assets, and over the course of 2 years, I got around 80% of my money back. In the end, it appeared that the bank did not have enough assets to cover deposits. There were expenses that were incurred when the state started selling everything, and didn't really need to close. Thank you, state of Iowa, for killing a bank that was doing fine. Anyway, I was thankful that I dodged a bullet, mostly, and decided not to invest again in an uninsured bank. Getting involved in a multi-level marketing business, or MLM. Anyone ever tried multi-level marketing? My wife and I did when we were first married. I'll spare you the gory details, but it was what you would expect. too much time, too little money, and 5 years worth of laundry detergent in our basement. We lost maybe a couple $1,000s, so it wasn't a killer, but it was brutal going through it. Recently, a new friend of my wife's tried to get us to join her MLM business. Though it's been 20 years since our last one, I almost broke out in a rash at the thought of it. There have probably been more stupid moves I've made, but these certainly have to be the highlights. It's amazing that even with all these stumbles, things turned out well for us. You just listened to the post titled My Worst Money Mistakes by ESI of ESImoney.com. One of the things I notice when people talk about money is the undertone of shame many have about financial mistakes. And I get it. When I think about how much better off I would probably be if I wasn't so careless and financially illiterate in my 20s, it's really hard not to have regrets. But what about some self-compassion? I have literally never met anyone who didn't make financial mistakes. And you can always make more money, but you'll never get back this time you're spending feeling bad about yourself. The thing about money is that it really is all figure-outable. I think this tool of money is one of the few things in life that you can completely screw up and still come out on top eventually. It's much harder to heal from a health scare, fix a broken relationship, go through a career change, and waste time you'll never get back. But money? It is a completely impersonal tool. I think with a slight perspective shift, you can actually enjoy the process of learning from money mistakes rather than drowning yourself in shame and regret. There's actually a hilarious speech from the Economy Conference last year, which is an event I produce, called Forged in the Fire of Financial F-Ups, where two ladies named Piggy and Kitty go through all of their financial mistakes and everything they've learned. They exhibit the kind of self-compassion that I'd love for all of us. So if that sounds interesting, you can watch it right now on the Economy Conference YouTube channel. And that'll do it for today. Have a great day and start to your weekend if you're listening in real time. And I'll be back here over the weekend where your optimal life awaits.